In April 2025, a high school track meet in Frisco, Texas became the backdrop for one of the most devastating tragedies the local community and much of the nation would come to witness. 17-year-old Austin Metcalf, a junior at Memorial High School and a well-known student athlete, was fatally stabbed during a shocking and sudden altercation. The incident sent shockwaves through the city and sparked a widespread conversation about school safety, youth violence, and the systems we trust to keep children safe. Austin was a standout student and athlete. Known for his kindness, his work ethic, and his loyalty to friends and family, he was a role model to many of his classmates. He played football, excelled academically, and was especially close with his twin brother Hunter, who was with him on the day of the tragedy. What was supposed to be an ordinary spring track meet turned into an unimaginable nightmare. The event took place at Kai Kendall Stadium during a UIL District 11-5A track meet with multiple schools competing. The weather was warm, the atmosphere was energetic, and the bleachers were filled with parents and classmates cheering on their teams. For many, it was just another day, but everything changed within moments. According to witness statements and police reports, the confrontation began over something small, something that should have been handled in seconds and forgotten. Karmelo Anthony, a student from Centennial High School, sat under a tent reserved for Memorial High School athletes. Austin reportedly approached him and asked him to move. The interaction quickly escalated. Witnesses say Anthony warned, "Touch me and see what happens." And when Austin allegedly tried to guide him out of the tent, Anthony stabbed him in the chest. The incident lasted seconds. Austin collapsed almost immediately. Panic erupted. Athletes and spectators screamed. Coaches rushed to help. Emergency responders arrived quickly and began life-saving efforts. CPR was administered on site. Austin was bleeding heavily. Despite their efforts, despite the emergency airlift, and despite the skilled hands of hospital staff, Austin Metcalf did not survive. He died in the arms of his twin brother Hunter, who had tried desperately to stop the bleeding to keep his brother alive. The trauma of that moment is something no sibling, no parent, no teammate should ever have to endure. For Hunter, the scene wasn't just violent, it was irreversible. That single moment divided his life into before and after. The grief was immediate, the shock overwhelming. News of Austin's death spread across Frisco and beyond, turning a local high school student into the name on everyone's lips. The community gathered in vigils. Social media filled with tributes. Friends, teammates, and coaches posted memories, photos, and heartbreak. Strangers who never knew Austin reached out to support his family. For days, news outlets camped outside the school. Students were interviewed. Teachers cried on camera. It wasn't just a tragedy, it was a wake-up call. His father, Jeff Metcalf, spoke through tears in interviews. He described Austin as the best son a parent could ask for: strong, funny, protective. He said what haunted him most was knowing that his son died while trying to do the right thing, trying to prevent trouble, not cause it. Austin wasn't looking for a fight. He wasn't angry or aggressive. He simply asked someone to respect school rules. The suspect, Karmelo Anthony, was arrested at the scene. He reportedly asked officers if the stabbing could be considered self-defense. He then told them where to find the knife used in the attack. He was charged with first-degree murder and booked into jail with an initial bond of $1 million. However, that bond was later reduced to $250,000, and Anthony was released to house arrest with an ankle monitor. The decision outraged the community. Many asked how someone accused of such a violent crime could be allowed to return home before trial. Others questioned what kind of message that sent, not just to Austin's family, but to other students, parents, and schools across the country. The reduction in bond reignited a wider conversation about the justice system, how bail is determined, who gets leniency, and whether consequences reflect the severity of the crime. For the Metcalf family, it felt like a second betrayal. Their son was dead. His accused killer was going home. The GoFundMe created to support the Metcalf family quickly surpassed $350,000. People weren't just donating money, they were trying to show that Austin's life mattered, that his family wasn't grieving alone. Entire teams dedicated games in his memory. Athletes wrote his number on their uniforms. One school even created a scholarship fund in Austin's name to honor his legacy and give other young athletes a chance to pursue their dreams. In the weeks that followed, classrooms fell quiet during moments of silence. Students wore black armbands. Football players gathered to say goodbye. Memorial High School held a tribute at one of their games, where Austin's jersey was retired. The principal spoke. Coaches wept. Students hugged each other in the stands, unsure how to process such a senseless loss. The incident also reignited conversations about school safety, especially at large events like track meets or football games. Questions were asked about why students aren't screened for weapons, why more security wasn't in place, and whether administrators could have done more to prevent this kind of tragedy. Experts in youth violence and education chimed in. Many said that what happened to Austin wasn't just about a fight gone wrong, it was about years of unaddressed issues in schools, rising mental health crises, untreated trauma, and an environment where small conflicts can escalate rapidly without adult intervention. Psychologists noted that teens today are under more pressure than ever. Social media adds another layer of tension, with conflicts that start online often spilling into real life. Some argued that schools need more funding for mental health services, peer mediation programs, and early intervention when students show signs of aggression or emotional instability. This wasn't just about one violent moment, it was about the systems in place, how students are supported, how conflicts are de-escalated, and how prepared schools are when situations do spiral out of control. Unfortunately, in Austin's case, the support came too late. The legal system also came under scrutiny. Austin's family and supporters argued that Anthony's bond should never have been reduced. They said it minimized the severity of what happened. On the other hand, defense attorneys pointed to Karmelo's age and claimed the incident may not have been premeditated. They hinted at a possible self-defense argument and suggested that the full story would come out during trial. As of now, the court proceedings are ongoing. No trial date has been set. The legal team representing the Metcalf family is preparing to pursue the harshest penalty available, arguing that Austin's death should be treated as the gravest kind of school violence. The Metcalfs, meanwhile, continue to speak out, not just about their grief, but about the need for real change. They've spoken to school boards, they've met with policymakers, they've advocated for mandatory security protocols at school events. Their message is clear: no family should have to experience what they've gone through. Hunter, Austin's twin, has remained mostly private since the incident, but those close to him say he's been devastated. His brother wasn't just a sibling, he was his best friend, his teammate, his other half. The grief is unimaginable, and the road to healing will be long. But even in the darkest moments, there have been glimmers of light. Stories of how Austin encouraged younger players on the football team, how he stayed after practice to help others improve, how he once paid for a teammate's cleats because they couldn't afford new ones. Those stories paint a picture of who Austin really was and why his loss is being felt so deeply. This isn't just about one violent act. It's about what we as a society do next. It's about ensuring our schools are truly safe. It's about recognizing red flags before they turn into front-page headlines. And it's about making sure that accountability, compassion, and prevention aren't just words we use after a tragedy, but priorities we act on before the next one happens. Austin Metcalf's name will not be forgotten. His family continues to push for reforms. His community continues to honor him. And far beyond Frisco, people continue to follow this case, hoping not just for justice, but for change. This story forces us to examine the systems we trust to protect our children. It challenges us to ask whether we're doing enough. And it reminds us, painfully, that sometimes the cost of inaction is a life full of promise cut short far too soon. As the trial approaches, all eyes will be on the courtroom, on the evidence, on the testimonies, and most of all, on justice for Austin. Because behind every headline is a family shattered, a future stolen, and a community still trying to make sense of what happened. If you want to stay up to date with the latest stories from the Crim Vault, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We'll see you next time.